All right, this is going to be real quick. This is a quick all hell no. I saw in passing a couple of YouTube videos. Well, not a couple. I only saw one or two. And then Brother Sean just made a post on it regarding CDC talking about the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, literally. So I'm like, all right, let me go ahead on and look it up and see what's going on. So I did a quick search, and sure enough, child, let's start with this. Looks like it was put out on March 4th, or when it started getting attention. Now, this is out of Forbes magazine. And they say a zombie apocalypse predicted for 2021. CDC has a preparedness guide. All right. And so I'm not going to read what they said. I'm just giving you how it made this particular publication's radar. So I'm going to go directly to the source, which is the CDC's website. And literally, they have the CDC has Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse. Now, they posted this on 2011. So there are all kinds of emergencies out there that we can prepare for. Take a zombie apocalypse, for example. That's right, I said zombie apocalypse. You may laugh now, but when it happens, you'll be happy you read this. And hey, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two about how to prepare for a real emergency. A brief history of zombies. Now, remember what where I'm reading from, family. This is from the CDC. A brief history of zombies. We've all seen at least one movie about flesh-eating zombies taking over. But where do zombies come from, and why do they love eating brains so much? The word zombie comes from the Haitian and New Orleans voodoo origins. Although its meaning has changed slightly over the years, it refers to a human corpse mysteriously reanimated to serve the undead. Through ancient voodoo and folklore traditions, shows like Walking Dead were born. In movies and shows and literature, zombies are often depicted as being creatures created by, now remember, they wrote this in 2011. Zombies are often depicted as being created by an infectious virus which is passed on via bites and contact with bodily fluids. Harvard psychiatrist Steven Schultzman wrote a fictional medical paper on zombies presented in Night of the Living Dead and refers to the condition as ataxic neurodegenerative satiety deficiency syndrome, caused by an infectious agent. The Zombie Survival Guide identifies the cause of zombies as a virus called Solonium. Other zombie origins shown in films include radiation from a destroyed NASA Venus probe, as in the Night of the Living Dead, as well as mutations of existing conditions such as prions, mad cow disease, measles, and rabies. The rise of zombies in pop culture has given credence to the idea that a zombie apocalypse could happen. In such a scenario, zombies would take over the entire countries, roaming the city streets and eating anything living that got in their way. The proliferation of this idea has led many people to wonder, how do I prepare for a zombie apocalypse? Well, We're here to answer that question for you and hopefully share a few tips about preparedness for real emergencies too. Now, before I go into this preparedness, because this exact same thing that I've been talking about for years, is the CDC using this as like a ploy to get people to just be prepared in general? Or do they flat out mean what they say? That an infectious disease that's can be transferred via bodily fluids can mutate and cause actual zombies. Okay? I just find it really, really interesting that the CDC will put something out like this. And then you have publications fast forward to today, 10 years later or 9 years later, when Rona hit, these publications picked that up. So, better safe than sorry. So, what do you need for zombies? Okay, sorry about that. Got distracted. Better safe than sorry. So, what do you need to do before zombies or hurricanes or pandemics, for example, actually happen? First of all, you should have an emergency kit in your house. This includes things like food, water, and other supplies to get you through the first couple of days before you can locate a zombie-free refugee camp. Or in the event of a natural disaster, it will buy you some time until you are able to make your way to an evacuation shelter or utility lines are restored. Below are a few items that you should include in your kit. All right. So just as a reminder, they're giving you the things that can happen from a disaster standpoint. Hurricanes, pandemics, and, recently we could throw in winter ice storms. We've already been through hurricane several times. The one that we most frequently think about is Hurricane Katrina, and how that showed what was really going to shake down if something like that happened. So in other words, you would pretty much be on your own. Okay. Pandemic, we're literally living through that now. And then just recently with the Texas ice storms. Once again, they keep telling you be prepared ahead of time. And then when these disasters actually happen, they show you what their response is, which is really nothing, right? So just to run through these preparedness things: water, 1 gallon per person per day; food, stock up on non-perishable items that you eat regularly; medication, this includes prescription and non-prescription meds; tools and supplies, utility knife, duct tape, battery, powered radio, sanitation and hygiene, household bleach, soap, and towels. Okay, now we should have really learned our lesson with this pandemic, with a shortage of Lysol and bleach and all of that jazz, and toilet paper. Okay, clothing and bedding, change of clothes for each family member, and blankets, important documents, driver's license, passports, birth certificates, to name a few; first aid supplies. Now, they're throwing in here, this is them. Remember, this is the CDC. Although you're a goner, if a zombie bites you, you can use these supplies to treat basic cuts and lacerations that you might get during a tornado or hurricane. Once you've made your emergency kit, You should sit down with your family and come up with an emergency plan. This includes where you would go and who you would call if zombies start appearing outside your doorstep. You can also implement this plan if there is a flood, earthquake, or other emergencies. Okay, so once again, we have lived through Katrina. We have lived through just a couple of weeks ago, the Texas ice storm. We are living through the current pandemic, right? So it's not like any of these things that they are naming is not possible because they have already happened, with the exception of what they're talking about, this zombie stuff. All right. Identify the types of emergencies that are possible in your area besides a zombie apocalypse. This may include, we talked about this, tornadoes or floods, tornadoes, earthquake. If you are unsure, contact your local Red Cross chapter for more information. All right. And I just want to point out that same local Red Cross chapter will not be able to help you when this stuff jumps off. Pick a meeting place for your family to regroup in case zombies invade your home or your town evacuates because of a hurricane. Pick one place right outside your home for sudden emergencies and one place outside of your neighborhood in case you are unable to return home right away. Identify your emergency contacts. Make a list of local contacts like the police, fire department, and your local zombie response team. Also identify an out-of-state contact that you can call during an emergency to let the rest of your family know you're okay. Plan your evacuation route. When zombies are hungry, they won't stop until they get food, i.e. brains, which means you need to get out of town fast. Plan where you would go and multiple routes you would take ahead of time so that the flesh eaters don't have a chance. This is also helpful when natural disaster strikes and you have to take shelter fast. All right, so never fear, CDC is ready. If zombies did start roaming the streets, CDC would contact investigation much like any other disease outbreak. CDC would provide technical assistance to cities, states, or international partners dealing with zombie infestation. This assistance might include consultation, lab testing and analysis, patient management and care, tracking of contacts, and infection control, including isolation and quarantines. All right, so let's stop. Now, we didn't have the zombies, but during Rona, we sure had people dying and dropping like flies. And I don't remember the CDC doing all the things that they say that they were doing regarding isolation and quarantine. That was left on the hospitals to do that, which the hospitals were very ill prepared. It took them a while to get prepared. Okay. And when the deaths were rolling in, they were even still struggling with the disposal of the bodies. You had the morgues backed up. So CDC, we've already seen how you can handle a pandemic. This ain't even a zombie stuff, which that's even going to be up a notch from what we've already experienced with Rona. And that burden fell on the hospitals. Now, you may have very well, I know you were behind the scenes, but you were not doing the isolation and quarantines. It's likely that an investigation of this scenario would seek to accomplish several goals: determine the cause of the illness. Okay, now you were doing that. The source of the infection, virus, toxin. Okay, you said you were doing that. Learn how it is transmitted and how readily it is spread. how to break the cycle of transmission and thus prevent further cases, and how patients can best be treated. Not only would scientists be working to identify the cause and the cure of the zombie outbreak, but CDC and other federal agencies would send medical teams and first responders to help those in affected areas. All right, so that's about that on that. I just wanted to give a quick, and it's probably not turning out to be that quick, but that's the CDC yowl back in 2011 putting out how to prepare for a zombie apocalypse. And the article just resurfaced last week or a couple weeks ago in mainstream media, kind of comparing what we're going through right now. So, you know, family, what the deal is, as I've always said, you know, be prepared on your own. Be as self-sufficient as you can, as possible. Now, as far as the zombie stuff actually happening, who knows? I do want to say that I believe a lot of this is also predictive programming. So meaning they will put the thought out there, because remember, thoughts equal energy, for folks to latch onto it, to create manifestation, all right, or to bring it into the physical. So that's also an aspect to this as well, all right? But either way, of course, just take care of your family, okay? Do not depend on these folks for survival. They have shown you time and time again that they are not dependable, and your life and your family lives truly depend on it. So if you don't have an emergency stock available, you're like past due. So I would suggest getting that done ASAP and having conversations with your family on what to do in the case of an emergency. All right. So I wish everyone well on this Monday. Peace and love, family.